What would you do if the person you trusted most was hiding a secret that could unravel everything you thought you knew? My name is David, and this is the story of how lending my wife my car led me to a truth I never saw coming, a truth that would test the limits of love, forgiveness, and the human heart. It started innocently enough. My wife, Emily, had always been the practical one in our marriage, while I was the dreamer, sketching ideas for novels I'd never finish. She was the one who kept our lives on track, bills paid, schedules met, dinners planned. So when her old sedan broke down last spring, I didn't hesitate to offer her my car. It was a beat-up old Mustang, nothing fancy, but it was reliable, and I loved it like an old friend. I worked from home most days, so I figured I could manage without it. Emily kissed me on the cheek, her hazel eyes sparkling with gratitude, and promised she'd take good care of it. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We've been married for 12 years, built a life together, weathered storms that would have broken weaker couples. Trust was the foundation of everything we had. For months, things seemed fine. Emily would take the car to work, to the grocery store, to her book club on Thursday nights. I'd see her pull into the driveway, the Mustang's engine rumbling softly, and she'd always flash me a tired but warm smile. But then, small things started to nag at me. The car's mileage was racking up faster than I expected. I'd find receipts in the glove box for gas stations in towns we never visited. Once, I noticed a faint smell of cigarette smoke lingering in the upholstery, though neither of us smoked. I brushed it off. Maybe she'd given a coworker a ride, or maybe it was imagining things. But the doubts grew like weeds, creeping into the corners of my mind. One evening, Emily came home later than usual. Her book club had run long, she said, her voice casual but her eyes avoiding mine. I nodded, tried to ignore the tightness in my chest. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the hum of unease growing louder. The next morning, while Emily was in the shower, I slipped into the garage. I don't know what I was looking for, maybe nothing, maybe everything. The Mustang sat there, its black paint gleaming under the fluorescent light. I opened the driver's door, my heart pounding, and started rummaging through the glove box, the center console, under the seats. Nothing unusual. Just loose change, a half-empty pack of gum, a crumpled parking ticket. I was about to give up when I noticed the trunk was slightly ajar. I popped it open, and there it was, a small, leather-bound notebook tucked into a corner, half hidden under a blanket. It wasn't mine, and I'd never seen Emily with it. My hands trembled as I picked it up, the weight of it heavier than it should have been. I flipped it open, and my breath caught. Page after page was filled with Emily's neat handwriting dates, times, addresses, names. It read like a log, meticulous and deliberate. March 12th, 7 p.m., Riverside Motel, room 14J. April 3rd, 9 p.m., Oak Street Park, bench by the fountain J. My stomach churned. Was J a person? Was this what I feared, an affair? I sank onto the garage floor, the notebook open in my lap, my world tilting. But then, a twist I hadn't expected. Tucked between the pages was a folded piece of Papera Child's drawing, crude but heartfelt, of a stick-figure family holding hands under a bright yellow sun. At the bottom, in wobbly crayon, was written, "To Mommy, love Sophie." Sophie? We didn't have Sophie. Emily and I had tried for kids years ago, but after 2 miscarriages, we'd stopped trying, the pain too raw to keep revisiting. Who was this child? My mind raced, grasping for answers that made sense, but none did. That evening, I confronted Emily. I held up the notebook, my voice shaking. "What is this, Em? Who's Sophie? Who's Jay?" Her face went pale, her eyes wide with something I couldn't read, fear, guilt, maybe both. She sank onto the couch, her hands twisting in her lap. "David, I swear, it's not what you think," she whispered. I waited, my heart a drumbeat in my chest. And then she told me the truth. Sophie was a 7-year-old girl in foster care. Emily had been volunteering with a local outreach program, something she'd never mentioned to me. She'd been using my car to visit Sophie, to take her to parks, to buy her clothes, to give her moments of normalcy. Jay was Julia, Sophie's caseworker, who coordinated the visits. Emily had kept it secret because she wasn't sure how I'd react. After our losses, she'd been afraid to reopen that wound, to admit how much she longed to help a child, even if it wasn't ours. The notebook was her way of keeping track, of making sure she didn't miss a single moment with Sophie. I was stunned, relief and shame washing over me in equal measure. I'd assumed the worst, let my fears paint Emily as a stranger. But there was more. Emily's voice broke as she told me about Sophie's past neglect, abandonment, a mother who'd vanished into addiction. Emily had been quietly working with Julia to become Sophie's foster parent, hoping to surprise me once the paperwork was approved. She wanted to protect me from the uncertainty, to shield me until it was real. But now, with the truth laid bare, she looked at me, tears streaming down her face. "David, I want us to do this together. I want us to be your family. But if you're not ready, I'll understand." I didn't know what to say. The weight of her words, the depth of her love for a child she barely knew, hit me like a tidal wave. I thought of the drawing of Sophie's small hand scribbling those words, and something inside me cracked open. I'd spent so long guarding my heart against more loss, but Emily hadn't. She'd chosen to love, even when it hurt, even when it was hard. The next day, we met Sophie. She was small for her age, with big brown eyes and a shy smile. She clung to Emily's hand but glanced at me, curious, unsure. I knelt down and handed her the drawing I'd found. "This is beautiful," I said, my voice thick. "Can you make me one too?" Her smile widened, and for the first time in years, I felt a spark of hope. It wasn't easy. Foster care paperwork, home visits, and adjusting to a new life tested us in ways we hadn't expected. But every night, as I watched Emily tuck Sophie into bed, reading her stories about brave princesses and kind dragons, I knew we'd made the right choice. The garage, once a place of doubt and fear, became Sophie's art studio, where she'd paint and draw, filling our home with color. Looking back, I'm grateful for that day I checked the garage. It wasn't just about discovering the truth, it was about discovering who Emily really was and who I could be. Love isn't just trust. It's the courage to face the unknown together, to build a family not just from blood, but from choice. Sophie's laughter fills our house now, and every time I hear it, I'm reminded that sometimes the truth you find isn't the one you feared, it's the one that sets you free.